Hi everyone. There are more than 7.5 billion people on our planet. Quite an impressive figure. However, it's almost impossible to find two identical people. Even the twins have some subtle differences. Also, there are some unique people who really stand out among the rest. In today's video, we'll share their stories. Let's get it on. Jeff Dabe. Jeff Dabe from Minnesota, USA has been arm wrestling since he was a teen. He can't boast any huge sports achievements. However, he still became quite a celebrity. How did he do it though? Well, just look at his arms. They're incredibly huge, especially considering typical body proportions. In the 70s, when Jeff was making his first steps in arm wrestling, many gazed in wonder at his massive arms and shoulders.
See how strong Devin and Jeff are.
Come on, Jeff.
Don't move, go.
Come on, Jeff.
There you go, Jeff. There you go, Jeff.
Get him, get him, get him, get him. Come on, Jeff. Come on, Jeff.
Keep going.
Come on, finish him. Come on. Turn your wrist, turn your wrist. Come on.
Match. I know. Done right.
Over the years, they grew even larger, which earned him the nickname Popeye. Despite his raw strength and incredibly massive arms, he suffered an unfortunate accident. After a grueling 3-minute competition in 1986, Jeff's right arm popped. He then decided to take a break from sport and returned in 2012, using only his left arm in the contests. However, his arms still look stunning, with a whopping 50 centimeters in circumference.
Vascular is going crazy.
Byron Schenkler. Byron Schenkler from the USA is officially the person with the world's widest tongue. It measures an astonishing 8.6 centimeters.
Oh my goodness. Oh wait, can I take a picture?
Schenkler discovered his record-breaking feature by pure accident. He was simply skimming over the book his daughter Emily brought for a school project. After stumbling across the page showing the widest tongue, Schenkler couldn't help but wonder how he measured up to the record. Turns out his tongue was almost a centimeter wider. After he was officially recognized as the man with the widest tongue, he became somewhat of a celebrity in his hometown of Syracuse, New York. By the way, Byron is not the only one record breaker in his family. His daughter currently holds the record for the widest tongue among women. Yes, her tongue is a bit shorter, 7.3 centimeters, but that's more than enough to be featured in a Guinness World Records book. Jason Rodriguez Hernandez. Having trouble finding the right shoe size for you?
Whoa, come on!
Well, Jason Orlando Rodriguez Hernandez from Marseille, Venezuela, knows a thing or two about your pain. In 2014, this young man has claimed the title for having the largest feet in the world. His right foot measured 40.1 centimeters, and his left foot reached 39.6 centimeters. 4 years later, Jason's feet have grown to a staggering 40.55 centimeters and 40.47 centimeters respectively, so he had to contact the Guinness World Records again to confirm a new record. Obviously, he has to wear custom-made shoes, as his feet simply wouldn't fit into any existing shoes. He struggled to find shoes of his size in his home city of Marseille, but with no success, so he had to wear sandals made of old tires and fabric, before expert shoemaker Georg Wessels offered his services. But Jason chose to stay positive. As he puts it, the Guinness World Records made him appreciate himself more, and today he's proud to have the biggest feet on Earth. Victoria Wright. Victoria Wright was born with a rare condition called cherubism, which makes the face look enlarged and disproportionate. The name of the condition is derived from the chubby-cheeked resemblance to cherubs in Renaissance paintings. It's not easy to cope with such disfigurement, especially in childhood. Victoria was teased by her peers, but she learned to deal with the bullies and accepted the way she looks. Sometimes she complains about the headaches, though. Her condition makes her head too heavy for her neck and spine and creates additional pressure, but Victoria refuses to resort to plastic surgery, saying that she's happy with her face most days and she's not going to change herself to make other people happy. Today, Victoria lives up to her name, emerging victorious from the fight with her insecurities and helping others who suffer from facial disfigurement. One can only admire her indomitable will. Kim Goodman. Some people have very unusual talents. Some can lick their elbow or something of the sort. But Kim Goodman's talent is second to none. She can pop her eyes out of her eye sockets by 12 millimeters. So far, no one could come close to challenging this record, so Kim earned her rightful place in a Guinness Book of Records. Despite her unusual talent, she lives a normal life in Chicago and doesn't seem to be any different from the others, except when she starts popping her eyes out, of course. Kim discovered this unusual and slightly disturbing talent when she was hit in the head with a hockey mask and her eyes popped out involuntarily. Since then, she's learned to pop her eyes out on cue, as well as when she yawns. Paul Carrison. Known to many as Papa Smurf, Paul Carrison made his first appearance in the American media in 2007.
You are blue. Hi, you are blue. You are blue. This is a first on the Oprah show. We have never had a blue man.
The man told the journalist that he started turning blue in the late 1990s when he decided to take homemade colloidal silver to treat dermatitis. Instead of consulting with a doctor, he made the solution from silver and distilled water. Back then, colloidal silver was believed to be a good treatment against bacteria. Overall, he consumed way too much silver, and as a result, his skin turned blue. Just 1 gram proved to be quite enough to cause this change to the body. In 1999, the Food and Drug Administration agency in the US banned colloidal silver from being used for medical purposes. By that time, however, Carrison had already turned blue. The unusual skin color has drawn a lot of attention too, so Paul moved from one state to another, looking for medical advice and guesting on different talk shows. Then he met his love Joanna and married her, though Carrison had a sense of humor about the condition, saying that he had enough of blue and is anxious to try green. His color still bothered him a lot. According to medical checks, his health was in a good state, but he still felt quite bad lately. In 2013, after suffering a heart attack and a stroke, the blue man died at the age of 62. Mehmet Izurik. Mehmet Izurik from Turkey holds the record for the longest nose in the world, and he deserved this title as his nose measures 8.8 centimeters. According to the guidelines of the Guinness World Records, the record can be confirmed only in the presence of the representative from the National Committee. Mehmet earned his title several times, first in 2007 and then 4 years later when his nose grew even larger. In 2010, his nose started to grow again by roughly a millimeter per year until Mehmet's death in 2017. Unfortunately, the latest measurements were made in 2010, so we'll never know how large Mehmet's nose has actually grown. Gianchia. Many dream of incredibly large eyelashes to emphasize the eyes and avoid dyeing or extending them artificially, or doing any other scary procedures.
Ridiculous.
Meanwhile, there are people who are lucky to have very long eyelashes naturally. And even though this woman doesn't really belong on our list today, we had to include her because her eyelashes are simply out of this world. One could easily mistake them for whiskers. Gianchia's eyelashes measure a whopping 12.4 centimeters. Just for comparison, a soda can is 11.5 centimeters long. Her unique looks helped her achieve career goals as well. For a long time, she's worked as a director of the investment fund. Her eyelashes weren't that long all the time though. She told the Chinese media that her eyelashes were normal up until recently. She only started noticing her eyelid hairs getting longer after retiring from her job and becoming closer to nature. She became known as the Flower Fairy after dedicating herself to gardening and creating over 1,600 rose varieties. Do you think there's a connection between her new lifestyle and the growth of her eyelashes? David Samuelson Jr. David Samuelson Jr. Does that name ring a bell? No? Well, how about the kid with the long neck, or a daddy long neck? Not much is known about his life or his unusual physique. According to David himself, he was born in Flint, Michigan on September 7th, 1999. He looks skinny, but is not due to some condition, though he was often ill when he was a child. He had issues gaining weight because his body seemingly can't absorb the nutrients, but doctors say that aside from that, he's perfectly healthy, even though he weighs 40 kilograms while standing roughly 1.6 meters tall. David is quite popular on the internet. He's featured in many videos and funny memes, and his Instagram account has more than 2 million followers. Psst. next? Dude, are you looking for new technologies and great gadgets? Are your thoughts focused on the future? Do you love huge vehicles and can't imagine your life without robots around you? Then visit TechZone and you'll find all this and more. The link is in the description. You interested? Great.